Jaden, 29, dressed in a clean, if slightly damp, suit, gripped the edge of the algae-choked drainage creek in the pouring rain, staring at a discarded tennis shoe, Dwayne's shoe. He could hear his twin, Khalil, 29, appearing disheveled from the streets, shouting from the mouth of the storm drain nearby.
Subscribe, like, and share to TES Stories.
Stop screaming. The cops will hear you before that thing does. Jaden's voice was tight, strained by the effort of keeping the corporate veneer intact even here, in the neglected back channels of Alief. Khalil emerged, covered head to toe in mud and a sickening, viscous green slime. His face was pale beneath his dark skin, eyes wide with genuine terror. He hurled a heavy backpack full of drug money, cash-soaked and muddy, into Jaden's chest. The shipment is gone. Man! That vine grabbed Dwayne's leg and pulled him in. I heard his bones snap like a cheap twig. Then it dragged him into the darkness. It was laughing. Jaden, I swear. It was cackling. Jaden let the backpack drop, his suit jacket instantly stained by the mud and the toxic slime. He looked down at the creek. The murky water was churning, and a long, thick, brown vine with a single, pulsing pink node slowly rose, its needles sharp, bone-like thorns aimed directly at Khalil's throat. This was the vascular vine, a grotesque abomination born from the Bayou's invasive, suffocating flora and generations of human waste and neglect. It was the decay of their shared childhood, made real and hungry. It knows you use the drain to move product, Jaden whispered, stepping in front of his twin. This is the Bayou's ledger coming due. They retreated to Jaden's cramped, sterile apartment off Highway 6, a safe space paid for by years of crushing corporate labor and crippling student debt. Jaden, the engineer, the corporate savior, had escaped the Alief cycle. Khalil, the dealer, the street pragmatist, had stayed and embraced the cycle, using the shadows and the drains as his infrastructure. You always said this neighborhood was going to swallow us whole, Khalil rasped, scrubbing the thick slime off his hands in Jaden's pristine sink. You were talking about the police and the rent, not some sewer plant monster. It's the same thing, Khalil, Jaden paced, pointing at the stain on his jacket. That thing is what happens when environmental decay meets unchecked urban sprawl. It's the poison we allowed to build up. It's the ultimate consequence of greed. The monster was feeding on their neighborhood's physical and moral ruin. It absorbed the runoff toxins, the discarded trash, and the despair of those trapped by addiction and poverty. Dwayne, a client and a childhood friend, was the latest dividend. Jaden pulled up the old floodplain schematics he used to study for his engineering degree. The vine is centralized in the old Bayou trunk. It moves by sensing fluid pressure. If we hit it with a massive, targeted pressure shift, we can force it into the primary overflow chamber. Khalil scoffed. And then what? You gonna hit it with a spreadsheet? No. Jaden looked at his twin, the resentment fading, replaced by the deep, hard knot of twin loyalty. I provide the flow dynamics. You provide the catalyst. The chemicals that burn. The dark underbelly of this city better than any corporate database. The old, controversial truth surfaced. The shame they shared from a childhood trauma tied to a toxic chemical spill near that very bayou. The circumstances that had fractured their family and set them on opposing paths. They both carried the neighborhood's poison, but in different forms. Khalil understood the assignment immediately. He knew the hidden, unauthorized runoff points the city overlooked. He knew the volatile, caustic street cocktail, the high alkaline cutting agents and industrial runoff that were too unnatural, too synthetic, for the organic, bayou-born vine to absorb. It feeds on natural decay, not industrial strength burn, Khalil realized. A cold, predatory intelligence sharpening his eyes. He stripped a thick, plastic-coated wire from his ruined backpack, a tool of his trade. I can tap into the sewer main access point near the old pump station. The one with the broken latch the city forgot about. Jaden worked on the calculations, his fingers flying across the laptop. He needed a precise volume, velocity, and timing to ensure the caustic slug hit the monster at its nexus. It needs to be a one-time flush, Jaden explained, showing the schematics. I've overridden the pump station's solenoid lock. When I hit the code, that section floods. You inject the chemical exactly when I open the valve. The pressure will drive your poison straight to its heart. The operation was a perfect, terrible combination of their conflicting expertise, Jaden's corporate engineering knowledge, and Khalil's street chemical familiarity and access to the city's secret vulnerabilities. They stood back at the edge of the creek as the rain returned. The air was heavy, charged with the vine's silent, subterranean hunger. Jaden held the control laptop, his suit jacket discarded. He wore a simple t-shirt, now equal parts engineer and man on the street. If you don't pull back when the pressure hits, you'll be in the overflow chamber with it, Jaden warned, his voice thick with the loyalty that transcended their class rivalry. I know the drains, Jaden. I know how to swim in the dark, Khalil said, hefting a heavy plastic drum of the burning chemical cocktail. His face was resolute. This is the only thing I have left to clean up. Khalil slipped into the storm drain access, disappearing into the putrid blackness. Jaden watched the flow dynamics map on his screen. 10 seconds. He hit the code. The pump station 3 blocks away gave a grinding groan, and the water in the creek began to rise, churning rapidly. Khalil's voice crackled over the radio. It's here. It's huge. Man, it's got Dwayne's jacket. The vascular vine exploded out of the main grate. It was larger now, glistening with fresh moisture and newly incorporated sewer pipe fragments. Its main body resembled a pulsating, oily muscle, its thorn hands thrashing against the creek walls. Feed me. Fill the emptiness, the vine seemed to hiss, the sound less cackle and more the desperate screech of metal fatigue as it absorbed the city's decay. Jaden waited for the crucial pressure point, sweat mixing with the rainwater. Now, Khalil, flush it! A geyser of thick, noxious vapor erupted from the storm drain just as Jaden hit the final code. The overflow valve slammed open, and a torrent of water combined with Khalil's caustic chemical slug hit the vine with the force of a battering ram. The creature didn't just recoil, it dissolved. The caustic agents were anti-food. They didn't just burn the flesh, they broke down the chemical bonds of the plastic and toxic waste it was made of. The shriek was pure, agonizing molecular separation. The entire mass sputtered, melted, and was violently flushed down the primary trunk, leaving behind only the clean, stinging scent of the industrial poison. Khalil emerged, coughing violently, soaked in the chemicals, but alive. Jaden rushed over, pulling his twin out of the drain. They stood together in the pouring rain, covered in the same grime, the same toxic runoff that had defined their lives. We cleaned up the mess, Khalil said, exhausted, leaning on his brother. Jaden put his arm around Khalil's shoulder, the suit forgotten. For now, but the city will keep polluting, and the Bayou will keep listening. The twins' loyalty had won, but the underlying class and environmental decay remained. They knew this was only the first time the Alief drainage system would rise to demand payment. They were engineers and dealers, survivors and brothers, and they would be ready for the next glitch in the grid.